Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the sight of the soccer gods to follow the American Messi, Christian Pulisic, to observe in the sacred ceremony of him taking on USMNT-eligible Folarin Balogun in the FA Cup quarter-final. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good to see you all here. Thank you for all the well wishes for my knee, which is doing a little better than it was a few days ago. Not as much pain, not as much swelling. So thank you. How are you all feeling this morning? We have a roster drop. We are coming up to a very big week. Woo! Qatar on the horizon, people. So let's just fingers crossed for an injury-free Pulisic, for a good performance, possibly a 60th minute sub, so that he is fresh and ready for Thursday when we take on the formerly mighty Mexico in the Azteca. How's everybody feeling? I'm feeling good. Hey, Luca. Hey, Kevin. Thank you. Jason, Notorious Nemo, DK57, Donald, Donna, Coutinho Gambino. How are you guys doing? Yeah, it sucks that Dest got injured, for sure. Dest, Richards, and McKennie are the big misses for this camp. But you know what? This is why you have depth, and I think we have pretty good depth. So I'm glad Luca de la Torre is in that midfield. I think he can be a good option to replace McKennie. Gio Reyna is back. So that's good news too. There's lots of good news. Christian Pulisic, like I said in the midweek, guys, Christian Pulisic, Brendan Aronson, Jordan Pefok, Luca de la Torre, those four guys especially are coming into this camp in the form of their life, right? So that's very good news for us. And that's some positive things that we can take going into this camp. Gonna be at the game in Orlando against Panama, massive game. J-Town says, are you having a CONCACAF council this week? Yes, I am currently trying to rally the troops, trying to fit it around everybody's schedule for us to record. But yes, we are trying to have a CONCACAF council as well as a U.S. soccer council. All right. I think a lot of people were hoping that Pulisic would be benched for this game, but I honestly didn't expect him to, because this is their last game for 2 weeks. So they're not going to rest him. They don't really care about the U.S. They're going to say, well, this is our last game for 2 weeks, so we're going to start Christian Pulisic. And to be fair, all they should care about is Chelsea, right? They have no obligation to the U.S. That is our problem. So the teams are walking out. Do you guys want to see the starting lineups? Let me see if I can pull them up here. So what we need to know for our sake is that both Balogun and Pulisic are starting. And we'll talk about Balogun in just a little bit. But let me pull up the starting lineups from Google. See if they got their actual formations right this time around. All right, here we go. Yes, I'm watching on ESPN. If anybody else wants to watch it, ESPN Plus is the place to watch. Okay, so here's your starting lineups. Now, I'm pretty sure they're not in a 4-2-3-1 today, Chelsea. This does not look right to me. This is probably a 3-4-3, right? Or maybe it is a 4-2-3-1. It seems unlikely to me, though, because there is only two real center backs out there. Hard to say. Hard to say. And they are playing with Mount, Ziyech, Pulisic, and Lukaku. So maybe it is more of a 3-4-2-1. We'll see how it actually plays out in the game. And then we have Middlesbrough in what they are saying is a 3-5-2. I'm not going to lie. I'm unfamiliar with Middlesbrough's playing formation. So I'm not sure if that's what it is today. But the important thing is that they're both playing, and we are here to watch it. I'm going to turn off closed captioning on my telly. Turn off the telly, mate. All right, Lukaku is getting a start, which will be interesting to see. He has been out of favor with the man they call Tuchel. Yeah, so Gabriel, there is no frostbite as far as we know. There's no evidence of that. He did play in preseason for the New England Revolution, right? And he suffered an ankle injury, which is keeping Matt Turner out. So the frostbite thing was just a rumor, but there's no evidence or fact. It's not fact-based. So let's see how this goes. Paul Nicholas, I want to hear more about how you woke up in a studio with an empty bottle of vodka. That was like comment of the day for sure. And I didn't know you were a musician, Paul. What kind of music do you do? All right. Anyone else psyched for this game? I'm just psyched for a healthy Pulisic, man. A strong performance, and a healthy Pulisic. That's what I'm hoping for. Owen Jones, is he playing wingback? I'm not sure. It could be Ruben Loftus-Cheek playing left wing back, and that he could be playing in the front three. You saw Matt Doyle's 11 in Azteca. Yes, Oben, but I don't take Matt Doyle too seriously, so it didn't bother me that much. Look, some shameless plug for my mug. Cut off a bunch of bills to get the pizza and wings. Oh, man. All right, so Balogun about to kick us off. Let's talk a little bit about Balogun, right? Technically USMNT eligible, has had a good start to life in Middlesbrough since he joined from Arsenal in January. 2 goals and 2 assists so far. He is in the England under-21 roster, which tells us that a one-time switch to the US is not imminent, and that very likely he's going to ride out this England thing until there's no longer an option. You know, interesting. Middlesbrough choosing not to take the knee. Only Chelsea taking the knee. I wonder why. Saw Grant Wall at Soccer X Miami. Was too impressed with his question for the presentation. Don't know what I expected. All right, OGR Sports. Thank you, sir. Pete, how is the knee? What's your score prediction? So just real quick, we are 14 seconds into the game. If you guys are watching on ESPN Plus like I am, then nobody can ruin the moments. Thank you, OGR Sports. My knee is, I don't know how bad it is, and I don't have an MRI until Tuesday. So I won't know until then. It is still slightly swollen above the knee, and I cannot walk without a brace, and even then I limp, and I have a crutch. So, but the good news is I'm not in as much pain as I was Wednesday night and Thursday. So the pain is slightly less. I am icing it. I am using the RICE principle, rest, ice, compress, and elevate. And I'm trying to stay off of it. Fingers crossed that it's not I'm guessing there's some ligament damage. What I don't know is how much ligament damage there is. So I'm just hoping it's not a full rupture. If it's not a full rupture of any ligament, that's great news because that means I won't need surgery. If it's a partial rupture, very likely it will heal on its own and I will be okay in a couple of weeks. So fingers crossed for that. If it is a full rupture, then I will look at my options and evaluate from there. So Middlesbrough starting strongly here. Thank you, OGR Sports. I appreciate it. Yes, Jose. Like Weston McKennie, Chris Richards, and Serginho Dest, the USMNT injury bug has got to me right before our most important window. The good news is sitting around talking nonsense on YouTube does not require a healthy knee. So I will be just fine for my duties for this window. So this is at Middlesbrough, the former home of Gareth Southgate, current England manager. Hey, Johnny, how you doing? Good to see everybody all here. Love doing these hangouts, live watch-alongs. When it's not the US, then I don't love it. But I will be doing the live watch-along for Panama because Filippo will be in Orlando for the Panama game, watching live from the stadium, and I will take on the sacred duty of live watch-alongs for perhaps the game where we clinch qualifying. Luis Maldonado says, Pete, can you talk about Mexico's roster and your predicted lineup for the game at Azteca? Let us have a look. Chelsea on the attack. Pulisic nearly sneaking in at the back post for a goal. Every time he falls down and gets back up, I'm going to heave a huge sigh of relief. Have a look at Mexico's roster. Nope, that's the USMNT roster, Pete. It's early, but it's not that early. Okay, so this is Mexico's roster here. Let's have a quick chat about it. See if I can put it up on the screen. Come on, people. Why is my laptop so slow? I need to get a new laptop. All right, so 4 goalkeepers. Let me see if I can add this to the screen. So Mason Mount with a good cross. Pulisic crashing the back post. I think he saw it a little late there because it came off of the Middlesbrough head and it just changed its trajectory. He should have gone with his left foot. Oh, Pulley. Oh, no. Oh, no, that wasn't Pulley, was it? Yeah, it was. All right, Pulley again. Oh, Christian. Put a cross in. Oh, not a bad cross at all. So Pulisic looking very active and involved to start the game. Rudiger makes a lovely tackle to prevent the counterattack. And Mason Mount as a shot from distance. Yeah, right, Chelsea lad. Right, came through the academy. Okay, let's have a look at this Mexico roster here. So, in goal, we have Cota, Ochoa, Orozco, and Talavera. I think it's interesting that they bring 4 goalkeepers. I'm not sure why you need 4, but, you know, if there's no limit, why not bring in 4? What's interesting is all of these guys are in their 30s, right? Talavera's like 39, Ochoa's 36, Orozco's like 34, Cota's 35. So, you know, no room for some of their younger goalkeepers like David Ochoa or there's 2 other good younger, like mid-20s goalkeepers in Liga MX. Angulo is there from Tigres, Eric Aguirre, Julian Araujo, Nestor Araujo, Gerardo Arteaga, Jesus Gallardo, and Cesar Montes, and Hector Moreno. So a lot of defenders, right? Very big roster, huh? Let's see. So Eric Gutierrez, no Guardado. That's interesting. Is he there? Maybe he is there. I don't see him. Rodolfo Pizarro is back. Diego Lainez is there. Hector Herrera is there. Jorge Sanchez is there. Interesting. Johan Vasquez, Edson Alvarez, Uriel Antuna is there. He just scored in the CCL. Middlesbrough with a corner, by the way. Good punch out by the keeper. And on the counterattack, we have Hakim Ziyech. I don't know why I sounded Russian when I said that, but so no Guardado is interesting. And remember, guys, Hector Herrera is banned for that opening game against the U.S. So it'll be very interesting to see who plays in that midfield. Edson Alvarez, very likely to start. My guess is it'll be Charlie Rodriguez and Luis Romo in midfield with him, but that's just my guess. Oh, Guardado is injured. Okay, so, you know, some of their older players are injured. It'll be interesting to see how their younger guys handle that. And it'll also be interesting to see the center back pairing he goes with. And also, does he use Arteaga or Jesus Gallardo at left back? I think Arteaga is a better left back at this point, right? But with Tata, he's a little bit like Greg in that you're not quite sure if he's going to go with the better player or the player he likes. All right. Yes, Hector Herrera, Houston Dynamo player as of this summer. Chelsea in possession. So as far as, you know, how we're going to play in the Azteca, real quick, I'll just give my thoughts. And I think, you know, my guess is Pulisic is not going to start. I have a feeling that Greg is going to keep him as a sub and bring him on in maybe the 60th minute and sort of save him for Panama. I think Brendan Aronson will start on the left with Tim Weah on the right. And then in midfield, we'll see Musa, De La Torre, and Acosta. That's my guess. I think he's going to start Ricardo Pepi up top because he talked about Jordan Pifok as being a guy who they want to start in Panama, you know. But then again, he might just be saying that to mislead Tata, you know, and make them prepare for Pepi when in fact it's going to be, Pulisic keeping possession while trying to be bodied off the ball. They're really playing a lot through Pulisic here, huh? Lukaku, come on. Who starts at the 9? Could also be Jesus Ferreira, right? Greg really likes Jesus Ferreira at the 9. So could be him as well. It's very hard to know. It could be Jordan Pifok. It's also possible that Greg starts Brendan Aronson in midfield. He talked about that in his press conference, how he's a candidate to replace Weston McKennie in midfield. It's possible he doesn't start Luca de la Torre, even though I think he would be very useful against Mexico. But again, this is Greg, and I wouldn't hate giving, Brendan Aronson a try in midfield. I really wouldn't. Oh, that was not a foul. Oh, come on. He leaned on him. That's part of the game, ref. Right, but he's an American lad. He doesn't really know the game. Going to have to be really tight with that whistle there. Okay, it was kind of a push. My apologies. Yeah, that was a push. Gio Reyna, I don't expect Gio Reyna to start against Mexico, and I would not start him. Okay. Really, with Gio Reyna, it's using him in this window in such a way that we have to be very careful with him. He's coming off of a 6-month injury. Probably start him against Panama. If he plays a sub minutes, this weekend, tomorrow, against FC Cone, which I believe he will, even if it's 30 minutes, and then he plays again as a sub against Mexico if we need him, then I would probably start him against Panama. But I would not start him in the Azteca. I just don't think he's ready to play 90 minutes. He's still coming off that injury. We need to be very careful with him, or we could injure him again for the long term. I think we have to be careful with Gio. The good news is we have a lot of guys who can do a job, Frank Kassler, daily live streams during the injury. I don't think anybody wants to see me daily, Frank. I think people would get tired of that very quickly. I'm also not sure how much I have to say doing daily live streams. Although I can tease something that if we qualify for the World Cup, Filippo and I will be doing, we'll be adding 2 new shows to our channels where we will be covering not just the U.S. Obviously, we'll cover the U.S., but we're going to cover the entire World Cup from start to finish. Every day, every group, every game. It's going to be a bonanza of soccer, and we're going to make it a huge focus. I don't think either of us are going to do anything in November and December this year if we qualify. Actually, even if we don't qualify, we're still going to do it because it's the World Cup. It's the global celebration of soccer, and it'll be really fun to cover every group, every team, every match. It's going to be super awesome. I'll say this. Just remember the words World Cup Cafe and World Cup Happy Hour, because that's what we'll be bringing to the table in Qatar. I mean, won't be in Qatar, but for Qatar. All right. Pete, if we're giving a one-time press pass, what's the one question you would ask Triple G? And you could follow up. Also, John Brooks, all class. Are you saying if I was given a one-time press pass? That's a good question. I mean, there's so many things I would like to ask him about. I think one of the questions I would ask him is why have we never really seen a diversion or a different formation rather than the 4-3-3? And does he not think that 4-2-3-1 or 3-5-2 could suit our player pool in a way that sort of covers for some of our weaknesses and enhances some of our strengths? So that would be one of the answers one of the questions I would ask. I would ask him to articulate exactly what he thinks Christian Roldan brings to the team, right? To be very specific in what Christian Roldan brings, and if he thinks we continue to see that when Christian Roldan steps on the field. I would ask him if he sees Gio Reyna as a winger or a midfielder long term. Those are some of the questions that I would ask. I would also ask him why he's never considered trying Luca de la Torre as a 6, as an emergency 6, and if he thinks he could play that role as he has for Heracles this season. So a bunch of different questions that I would ask Greg. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of those questions. Also, I would also ask him, because he said in the press conference this weekend that there are some little things that John Brooks has to work on, right, in order to fit into the playing style. So I would say, okay, and again, this is where follow-up questions are important. Somebody asks him about John Brooks, and he goes, there are some things that John Brooks needs to fix in order to, fit into our playing style. The follow-up question should then be, can you speak to those things? What are those things, Greg? Right? Because it's easy to say there are some things he needs to do better in. Be specific. Tell us, what are some things that you think John Brooks needs to improve on to fit into your playing style? Because if he has those things off the top of his head, then it shows you that he's being genuine and giving an honest answer. And if he doesn't have those things ready, Lukaku scores. Mount with the cross. Wow, the fact that he barely celebrated made you wonder if he was offside. All right, so goal for Lukaku. All right, so now Middlesbrough is going to have to come out of their block, although to be fair, they're not really playing in a block. So it starts with Hakim Ziyech, all right, finds Thiago Silva, plays a little 1-2 with Azpilicueta, back to Ziyech. Ziyech plays it down the line for Mason Mount, the British lad, goes down the line. I don't know what the Middlesbrough defense was doing there, completely ball watching. But Lukaku pops in at the near post and as a bit of a tap-in with his weaker foot, no less. Right, that's what you want from Lukaku, isn't it? Just sort of making that run off the shoulder of the last man. Lovely finish from Lukaku. Absolutely brilliant. And that's why they've brought him in, isn't it? He's struggled a bit, right, since he's come to Chelsea. He hasn't always been, maybe a guy who's... he doesn't always look so enthusiastic on the pitch, does he, Bob? He's one of the... He looks like he's sulking sometimes. And I'm not saying that because I don't like Lukaku, but sometimes there's just a few questions about his attitude. But that is spot on from the lad. I mean, that's exactly the sort of thing that will give Thomas Tuchel some questions in the weeks to come, especially in the Champions League, because, they have gotten past Lille now. They're in the quarterfinals. And for Chelsea, they'll be looking to make a run to the final. They are the defending champions. And that's what Tuchel's going to want to see from him. It sounds very Pirates of the Caribbean. So 1-0 Chelsea in the 17th minute. All right. Chris Gary, if we had a must-win game, who would you rather be the manager? Klinsmann or Greg? Oof. Oh, man. That's a tough one. Here's the thing. Klinsmann, terrible tactician. Just awful. A lot more of a man manager and inspirationalist. So if you're talking about a must-win game, probably go Klinsmann, but neither, honestly. I mean, to be fair to Greg, when we've had must-win games, he's gotten it right? In the Nations League final, in the Gold Cup final, in those must-win games, he's gotten it right. Okay, so, or at least he's gotten the result, even if I don't think he's always gotten the tactics or the lineups right. Okay. For example, in Nations League, I think we succeeded despite him, not because of him. But I think in the Gold Cup final, Pulisic. Nope. Denied by the keeper. So, yeah, the answer to that, probably Greg Berhalter. So long as I get to pick the roster, Chris. I'll pick the roster, and then Berhalter can do the. I liked Klinsmann. I think Klinsmann would have been a much better technical director for for U.S. soccer than he would have been a coach, because I don't think he's a very good tactician. But I liked a lot of what he was trying to do. I liked that he was trying to, push our players, push our league, push everybody involved to be more, to get out of their comfort zone, to demand excellence, to look around the world for what the standard of global soccer is, and to up our levels. And I really like that about Klinsmann. Unfortunately, Klinsmann was a terrible tactician. What Klinsmann needed was a very good assistant coach who was a tactical mastermind, like he had when he had Yogi Löw at Germany. That's really the only time he's been successful as a coach long term. Although you could say his first stint with the U.S. was very good, right? His first window. Won the Gold Cup, finished first in the hexagonal, took us to the knockout round of the World Cup, and got us to the semifinal of a Copa America, right? So those are his 4 accomplishments that, cannot be ignored. And he deserves credit for them. But I think long-term, Klinsmann got found out tactically eventually. I also think that part of that was that Klinsmann was dealing with a player pool that had gotten old and a lost generation. We had young players, the young players coming through were not of the same quality of the old guard that was aging out. And that hurt him, but he still could have done better tactically, right? Joey, I would say more after Copa America, because he still got us to the Copa America semifinal. So, yeah. He also gave Christian Pulisic his debut for the national team. That's how long Christian Pulisic's been around. Jurgen Klinsmann, Bruce Arena, Dave Sarakin, and Greg Berhalter. Oh, Pulisic with the lovely turn, but is blocked off the ball. Stay calm, Puli. This is not the important game. Chelsea fans are going to hate me. The important game is on Thursday and Sunday. Who are these lads sitting in the Chelsea bench? Tuchel looks like me every time I'm on set playing a cop. All I do is scowl. It's like he's got a perpetual scowl on his face. So 21 minutes in, and Chelsea are 1-0 up. See how this goes. Middlesbrough haven't really offered much, understandably. Balogun is working hard, trying to press, but hasn't seen too much of the ball. Kevin Polite, the USA-Mexico game is on Thursday. Pulisic in wide left, taking his player on 1v1. No, get up, Christian, get up. Hasn't been as good 1v1 today as you would like. He's been a little nullified so far. Yeah, Lewis, I agree with you. Pulisic is in the form of his life, playing really, really well for Chelsea. No, Pulisic's not hurt. Just every time he falls down, I get nervous. That's all. To be fair to Pulisic, he hasn't been hurt for a long time. He's been pretty healthy for a stretch of several months. So hopefully he can keep that going. So here's an interesting comment from Frank Kassler. Klinsmann lost the locker room because he said he wanted players to go to Europe to play against the best players in the world. I think that Klinsmann was unhappy that Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore and Clint Dempsey all came back to play in MLS. I don't think he was very happy about that, and that may have negatively impacted his communication with the team and his perception of those players. And he wasn't totally wrong, right? Bradley and Josie both had pretty sharp declines when coming back to MLS. But you could argue that them coming back to MLS was good for the league in some ways. And that's always the tough mix, right? Is, on the one hand, you want MLS to be better. And for MLS to be better, you need better players, right? More quality players. On the other hand, if you are a fan of the national team, Balogun holding up the ball against Rudiger, holding on to it way too long, in my opinion. But on the other hand, right, you want our national team players playing in the best environments. You want them playing regularly, as high as a level as they possibly can, right? That's what you want, and that's what's going to make us successful. If we brought all of our guys back to MLS now, Pulisic, McKennie, De La Torre, Dest, Robinson, MLS would get significantly better, right? But what would that do for our national team? Not much, right? Because they wouldn't be playing week in, week out against the best opponents with the most pressure in the best environments. So yeah. Ilyas Abdi, how you doing, buddy? How's London these days? It's kind of sad that one of Mo Salah and Mane will miss the World Cup. Who do you think will get to the World Cup, Egypt or Senegal? I'm going to say Senegal. But maybe not. They won African Cup of Nations, and, maybe some complacency sets in. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. It is kind of sad, but it's also sad that one of, Italy and Portugal will miss the World Cup. That'll be sad to see. Ooh, Omar Turcios. If you were the USMNT coach, what would be your starting 11 if today was our first World Cup game? So I'm assuming everybody's healthy. This is a good question. Goalkeeper, Ethan Horvath. No, he didn't just say that. Goalkeeper, Ethan Horvath. Back four, Serginho Dest, Chris Richards, John Brooks, Anthony Robinson. Midfield three, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Gio Reyna. Three up top, Christian Pulisic, Ricardo Pepi, Timothy Weah. That would be my starting lineup, with Luca De La Torre, Yunus Musa, Brendan Aronson, Josh Sargent, Jordan Pefok, and other attacking options to be available off the bench. Bro, we cannot. Osman Gomez, I want the U.S. to finish fourth so Triple G can get sacked and the U.S. to wake up. Man, no. Can you imagine what that's going to do to all of our nervous systems between now and June? Bro, listen, I have issues with Berhalter like we all do. But so much bigger than Berhalter or anything else is we need to qualify for this World Cup. Okay, there is no world in which us not qualifying or even finishing fourth is good for soccer in this country. Ultimately, I want what's best for soccer in this country, for the growth of the game. And ultimately, I don't trust a single game with high pressure. I don't trust it, playing in New Zealand. I just want us to qualify in this window so we can start making preparations for the World Cup. We got the World Cup draw coming. Remember, even if we finish fourth, we are the fourth seed. That means we're going to get a very difficult group. Even if we qualify, we're going to get a very difficult group in the World Cup because we're going to be in the last pot. Okay? So no to fourth. Please at least get third and we can just qualify. Triple G, yes, he's got issues. He's not wrong about everything, and he does some things well. But regardless of his issues or whatever issues he has, it is extremely important for us to qualify. Okay? There's no world in which us not qualifying for the World Cup or qualifying in fourth is good for the game. There just isn't. All right. So still 1-0 in the 28th minute. Pulisic has been a little quieter in the last couple of minutes, which is fine by me. Oh, and the score is 1-0. Chelsea winning from a Lukaku goal. Middlesbrough on the attack right now, probing, trying to get behind that Chelsea back line, but very slow. The problem with Middlesbrough is that they're playing so slow. Everything is telegraphed and a little bit disjointed, so it's very easy to read and very hard to penetrate if your attacking system is that slow in the build-up. Ilyas Abdi with more thoughts on the fourth. New Zealand were unconvincing yesterday against Papua New Guinea, but still expect them to get inter-confederation. Yeah, very likely it will be New Zealand, and New Zealand are not great. But guys, we lost to Panama, who are also not great. Is New Zealand worse than Panama? I don't know. I just don't trust it. And I also don't want to deal. Are you kidding? April, May, June. I don't want to deal with 3 months of nerves. Are you nuts? I can't do that. I can't do that. And honestly, if we get fourth and have to go play in that federation playoff, then yes. Sorry, my knee's acting up a little bit. If we get fourth, then Berhalter should be fired, and we should have somebody else take us to that, because we'll have 3 months to find a new coach. There is no way that finishing fourth is acceptable. Just no way. I'm sorry. No way. But I don't think we will, guys. I really don't think we will. I think we will qualify. So we have a question from Carl here. Pete, can you please try to add a game clock to your game live stream so those of us who want to can watch them later? How do you do that, Carl? If there's a way to do that, that I can put a clock on the screen, I would happily do that. Do I just buy a clock and then just put it up there or something? Maybe I can do something like that. That's a good idea, Carl. I like that. That's a great idea. Okay. Let's see. Daniel Grafton, do you still live in India? No, I left India in 2015. So it's been about 7 years since I've lived in India. But I spent 7 years of my life there. So Chelsea on the counterattack. Ziyech going to have a shot from distance. Oh, what a goal. But that was terrible keeping. Absolute awful keeping. This is the exact same kind of keeping that Matt Turner did against Canada, where instead of springing off with his feet to dive, he just collapsed. Lumley just collapsed his feet under him, which means he couldn't reach the ball. 2-0 Chelsea. Watch it on replay again. Watch it on replay. This is exactly what Matt Turner did against Canada, and it's bad keeping. Your feet aren't properly set when the shot is taken. So instead of leaping to spring off and spring to your right, you end up just sort of collapsing your feet under you, which limits your reach. Yeah, that was not good keeping, especially from that range. I mean, it was so far away. He had plenty of time to read that. Oh, terrible. And he was so late to spring off too. So late. He could have gotten that. He could have gotten that if he had jumped sooner and sprung off properly instead of just collapsed. All right, so now mountain to climb for Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough. Oof, not a good day. I mean, to be fair to them, they're going up against Chelsea. There's just a huge gap in quality between the two teams. Guys, don't forget to like the stream. Here's a question from E. Zonda. Do you think Christian Pulisic will leave Chelsea with everything that's going on with their owner? I honestly don't know. Who knows? It's possible, but it's also possible he stays. I don't know if anybody's going to pay what Chelsea would want for him. Oh, by the way, it's the El Clasico tomorrow. Real Madrid versus Barcelona. Who does everybody have? Whew. Burrow on the counterattack, but Rudiger picks up the loose ball that's sprayed into the channel. with Balogun chasing. Balogun really hasn't gotten a lot of service today, huh? So people think Madrid is going to win. Oof. Wow. A lot of people think Madrid's going to win. I honestly have no idea. Aside from ownership, would you want Pulisic to stay at Chelsea? Honestly, Chandler, I don't care that much. Like, if he stays at Chelsea, he's going to be fine, right? If he goes somewhere else, I think he's also going to be fine. He's still going to be Christian Pulisic. And speaking of, he just receives the ball on the left under pressure. Is he going to try to beat his man? Nope. Gives it back to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who in turn finds Azpilicueta. Finds Mount on the right, who plays a 1-2 with Lukaku. He finds Jorginho, who finds Azpi, and Azpi out wide. Ziyech with the cross, and it is cleared out for a corner. Who scored the second goal? Donna. Second goal was Hakim Ziyech with a beautiful knuckleball from outside the box, but one that the keeper really should have done better with. Karen. Hey, Pete, does your leg injury mean that we won't see the gritty if we qualify? Well, let's see when we qualify, first of all. Maybe by Sunday, if that's the game that we qualify with, it'll be a little better. But let's just wait and see. Chris Gary, Pete, I just got hit in the head from Leget's penalty. Man, that game was so disheartening to watch and such a strong indication of how far MLS still has to go. 35th minute now, still 2-0 Chelsea. Burrow with a counter. Thiago Silva shadowing the striker. Balogun in space. And just a terrible cross from Burrow. Terrible cross. Luca, how do I kick a ball and make it curve? You're going to have to be a little more specific, Luca. There's several ways you can do it. If you want an in-swinging curve, then you've got to use the instep to sort of caress the outside of the ball, hit it on the side, and curl it in. If you want an out-swinging ball, then you're going to have to strike it across your body with the top of your boot and have it curl outwards. Finesse Kid Carlos. Pete, I really enjoyed the podcast. When is the next episode? Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate that. Oh, Pulisic takes the ball. Oh, and oh my God, how does Lukaku miss that? What a nice, gorgeous little through ball from Christian Pulisic, huh? Gorgeous little through ball from Christian Pulisic, and Lukaku picks up the loose ball, beats his man, and should have scored. Okay, let's see this again. So, the ball is cleared out. Pulisic picks it up in the middle and tries to find Ziyech. Oh, but they're all offside. And it's cleared off the line. Okay. So he was offside anyways, and Christian Pulisic's ball was touched by the Borough defender. Lukaku picks up the loose ball, goes around his man, but it's blocked off the line. Mount with another cross. Oh, but straight at the keeper. All right. Why hasn't there been LDLT transfer rumors? Well, so the thing about LDLT is that he's a free agent in the summer. So when you say there's no transfer rumors, it's just that LDLT is not a player that gets a lot of attention on a world stage, right? A midfielder for Heracles doesn't make news, if that makes sense. But because he's a free agent, he can go anywhere he wants this summer. And I hope he goes to Spain. I think that Spain, La Liga would be a good place for his skill set. In Spain, in La Liga especially, they value technique. They value ability and comfort on the ball over athleticism. And I think that would suit him. He's also part Spanish. That's where his father's from. So I think that would be a good spot for him. Maybe a place like Betis. By the way, guys, I'm sucking on a Ricola, and I apologize. My throat gets dry very quickly, and I won't be able to talk if I don't have something. So if it's annoying for you, I'm sorry. It's the only way I can talk for 2 hours straight. So I apologize in advance. I'm sorry, Owen. I realized I was talking about the podcast. Yes, the podcast will drop every Tuesday. So we record Monday, and it comes out every Tuesday. And guys, thank you for everybody who gave us a good rating, both on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. We're working on trying to get it on more platforms. So it's on Stitcher, if anybody wants. I think the next one is to get it on Google Podcasts. But yes, every Monday we record, and then every Tuesday it will be out. So at least once a week. And again, guys, if you can give us good ratings on both Apple Podcast and on Spotify, and leave comments as well. I know on Apple Podcasts you can leave comments. It really helps other people to find the podcast because they rank it higher if you have a ton of good ratings. I think we have like 100. I think we should have like 157 5-star ratings on Spotify in only 4 or 5 days, which is amazing. So thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. Is it on Pandora? I don't believe so. But we're working on it. We're working on getting it on everywhere, or as many places as we can. Just be patient with us. Neither of us is very podcast savvy. So we're still figuring this out. We started this podcast because people wanted us to, and we're enjoying it, and we definitely want to keep going with it. But it's going to take us some time to get the hang of how this all works. We are YouTube experts, not podcast experts. Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Kevin. Yes, go give it a listen. I'm a Spotify guy, so I would send you all to Spotify. But if you have an iTunes, Apple Podcast is your thing, listen to it there as well. And honestly, guys, if it does really well and it's getting lots of views and downloads and stuff, we may consider making it twice a week. So, a lot of it depends on you, how much it gets listened to, how much it gets downloaded, how much people are liking it. If the response is really positive, we have to try to find some time in our schedules because both of us have pretty full schedules right now. But if, again, we'll try to find moments to record a second one if it's very, very popular. Okay. Chelsea in possession, 41st minute. Pulisic. Thank you, Matt. Matt says, just done. Just gave another 5-star rating on Spotify. It was great. Honestly, here's what I'll do. If anybody leaves a good, like a positive comment with their rating on Apple, I know you can't do it on Spotify, but I know on Apple Podcasts, you can leave comments. We might read them live on the podcast. So if you want to leave us a good comment, that would be awesome. Or a bad comment. Be like, these two are full of shit, if that's what you genuinely think. The good thing about media is it's a meritocracy, right? If people don't like your shit, they're not going to listen to it, or they'll listen to it and give you a bad rating. And that's good for everybody. 42nd minute. 2-0 to Chelsea. Did you see it was Jackson Yule's birthday today? Happy birthday, Jackson Yule. Great question, Seth. Do you think Greg rates Busio above LDLT? Busio last started against Jamaica away, I believe, for the USMNT. Yeah, it's a good question, right? Busio has not really put together any strong performance for the national team yet. I still have some questions about Busio. I think he's more of a connector than a creator. All right, nice takedown by Pulisic there. Keeping possession, not trying too hard. Honestly, this is what you want to see from Pulisic going into a national team game, where he often tries too hard to go it alone, right? Today, he is playing it pretty safe and steady, keeping the ball, not overcomplicating things, keeping it simple, moving well off the ball. Let's hope we see more of that from Pulisic with the U.S., because too often Pulisic has tried to play hero ball and has spent too much time dribbling, has spent too long on the ball, which leads to poor decision-making and poor attacking play. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. All right. Pete, what's the next place you want to travel to? South America. that is definitely on my bucket list. I've been to, well, actually, I need to go to Germany and visit my girlfriend's family. I was supposed to go this last Christmas, but some stuff came up and I was unable to do it. But Germany for sure. Also South America. I have always wanted to visit South America. So it's a great question by Josh, or comment rather. In my opinion, oh my God, get up, Christian, get up. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Uh-oh. All right, Pulisic. Oh, he slipped. He slipped. No. Oh, no. Get up. You're going to be fine, Christian. You're going to be fine. Just pull him off at halftime, guys. You're going to be fine, Christian. You're going to be fine. Thank God. Okay. Tuchel, just pull him off at the half. Please, for American fans everywhere. Pull him off at the half and save him. Jesus. Whew. Oh, my God. Being a USMNT fan is stressful, people. All right, he's back on, but maybe we don't keep risking him. You're already 2-0 up. You bring a defender, bring a more defensive winger on for Christian. I love that we're expecting Chelsea to to adapt to American desires when they have absolutely no reason to and should not consider that at all. Although, to be fair to them, to be fair to us, resting Pulisic means he'll be better, more likely to be available for Champions League games in the future. And he is a big game player, right? We've seen this over and over with Christian Pulisic. The bigger the stakes, at least for Chelsea, the bigger the stakes, the better he plays. And we saw this against Real Madrid, Porto, Atletico Madrid, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Lille, Mexico, right? All right, we're in extra time, 1 minute of extra time. It is 2-0 to Chelsea. Thank God Pulisic is okay. That was a real scare there. Whew. What is the podcast called for? Mike Palumbo, it's called Tactical Yanks. I know it's not the best name, but it's literally all we could come up with. Aaron Velez, I am so conflicted about this. I don't know what the score prediction is going to be because I don't know how Berhalter is going to line up. I'm guessing we're going to get a draw in Azteca. That is my guess. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in Azteca, and I think we're going to score off of a set piece. Either a Gio Reyna or Kellen Acosta or even Christian Pulisic delivery with either Walker Zimmerman or someone, maybe Jordan Pefok, scoring with their head. That's going to be my prediction. Wes G, the logo is so clean though. Thanks, Wes. All right, halftime in the FA Cup quarterfinal, Middlesbrough at home. Anybody know the name of Middlesbrough Stadium? Let me know in the comments if you know the name of the stadium, because I don't listen with sound on, so I can do this. Pulisic looks okay. He looks fine. He walked off okay. But I would be fine with pulling him off at halftime. Riverside, thank you. Riverside Stadium. Thanks, guys. Yes. Exactly, just Alex. So Pulisic is a big game player, and a World Cup is coming up where every game is a big game. I'm just saying. You nailed it, Alex. You nailed it. I will say this, guys. Mexico's a lot worse than they used to be. This is not the Mexico team of yore. You know, they're where we're at right now in 2016, where their golden generation has aged out, and the players that they have been bringing up to replace them are just not as good, right? That's just the truth. Nobody wants to talk about it in Mexico, although actually some people are talking about it. But they're just not as good. You know, Guillermo Ochoa, Hector Moreno, Nestor Araujo, Hector Herrera, Andres Guardado, Raul Jimenez, all of these guys are aging out, and they're not who they used to be, right? But some of the young guys that are coming up, not the same level, right? Not the same level, and that's going to hurt Mexico. So they're not as good as they used to be. I think we can go into the Azteca fairly confident that we could win. The only question is, how will Berhalter approach it, right? That's always kind of the question. So, yeah, that keeper was way too slow to dive. You're showing the replay. Actually, Finesse Kid, Raul has been really... Nope, that's Joey. Raul has not been good since his injury. No, he's actually been much better, guys. He's got like 3 goals and 3 assists in his last like 7 games. So he's actually been really good recently. He's back to his old self. So yeah, I would say he's doing great. And he's going to be a real threat in Azteca, and we're going to it'll be very interesting to see how Berhalter decides to contain him. On top of that, Tecatito is playing really well for Sevilla, and Chucky Lozano is back from injury. Thank you, Sean Connors. That's a great name. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bofa de Ligma. Do you think if the U.S. beats Mexico in the Azteca, would the Mexican Federation fire Tata? No, because that's their first game of the window. They're not going to fire him in the middle of a window. So if we win in Azteca, they're going to give him the rest of the window to finish qualification, I think. I don't think they would fire him the day after a game if there's 2 more games to be played, personally. The only way I could see them firing him is if the players quit on him. If it's very, very clear that he's lost the dressing room and the players are not happy playing for him anymore and World Cup qualification could be in jeopardy, then maybe, but I think that's unlikely. I think it's unlikely. Kevin Polite says Justin Shea made his debut for Hoffenheim. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Chepo de la Torre was fired mid-window in 2013. That is true. That is true. If the U.S. wins in Azteca, you might be right. It might be over. J-Town. J-Town, you chaos merchant. Imagine we beat Mexico but lose to Panama. Man, I'm just going to drink more coffee and pretend you never said that. Except my coffee's over. My coffee's finished. By the way, guys, if you want to support the channel, get yourself a nice mug. We have this one. We have an 11 Yanks one. We have a Dos Acero one, all in the store. And the chat is in the description below. The link is in the description. So if you want to support the channel and get yourself a cool mug, that's a way to do it. All right, shameless plug over. Chris Pena. We lose 3-1 against Mexico. No Dest, Brooks, Weston. This is a mental game. Mexico knows how to beat us at the Azteca for sure. You know, I want to say yes. There's a good possibility they could beat us. But also, I'll give Greg this. His record against Mexico is pretty good, right? He's 1-3, lost 2. 1-3 and lost 2. If you take the friendly out of it, he's 1-3 and lost 1. Now, to be fair, all of those games were in the United States. This is the first time we're going to see Greg Berhalter away in Azteca. And to be fair, to your point, his away record with the U.S. is terrible. Only 1 away win in World Cup qualifying, and that was against Honduras. John Rodriguez says, Triple G should get one of your mugs to add to his collection. Can you imagine? In a press conference, very excited to have this mug. It's not a good Greg impression at all. This would not surprise me at all, Karen. I think our window goes draw at Mexico, win versus Panama, and lose at Costa Rica. Yeah, that would not surprise me. Valentina Esparza, sorry. Hope the U.S. wins, but it is not going to happen. The U.S. has a really bad coach. U.S. doesn't know how to play outside the U.S. I agree with most of that. I don't think that Berhalter is a really bad coach. I think he does some things well and other things poorly, right? The problem is that the things he does poorly are try to fit square pegs into round holes, right? Prioritize system and familiarity and fit over talent, form, and player ability, right? Just left Mike Palumbo. Just left a 5-star rating review with comment on Apple Podcasts. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate that. How about Herc wearing the Berhalter ball shirt on Football Americas? Yeah, Tack's a smart man. He sent me a shirt too. Where is it? I should wear the shirt for the stream today. Yeah, Tack has merch too, guys. If you want to go support his channel, he's also got merch. He sent a Berhalter ball shirt to Hercules Gomez, and Hercules Gomez wore it on Football Americas, which is amazing. Let me see which one Tack sent me. I think it's the Berhalter ball one. Let me pull it out. This is an official unboxing. Hang tight. Okay, so I have this box. The Tack sent me the shirt. We'll see which one he sent. I'm like a real YouTuber now doing an unboxing. Let me see. So, guys, what could possibly be in this box? I'm going to be like a real influencer. Guys, I am in love with this wrapping. This wrapping is, oh my God, I am totally here for it. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with this wrapping, guys. I'm obsessed. All right. So, this is from spring. Aha! Here's the box. As you can see, it's beautifully wrapped. I mean, I love the way they sort of, they have this sort of inner part that keeps it really flat. It's almost like it's on a pedestal. It's a shirt on a pedestal. Guys, what this world needs is more shirts on pedestals. Sorry, I've seen too many influencer unboxings. All right. Ooh, very nice. Berhalter ball. Verticality. It's amazing. It's a very good design by Tack. I love it. Estimate EST 2018. That's a great design. I think Dustin designed these, but that's awesome. That's a great one, Kevin. I spent $6,000 on this, but YOLO. All right, so that's the official unboxing, probably the last one I will ever do, so as not to frighten you guys away. But that is a great shirt. If anybody wants to support Tack's channel, go check out his options. I think he's got some other good options there too. All right. What the hell does Triple G has versus Scally and Brooks? He just doesn't rate them for whatever reason, Steven. We don't know why. And hold grudge for some stupid reason. He's nothing more than a mediocre coach / human being. Yeah, Steven, I mean, this is sort of preaching to the choir here, and to be fair to Greg, I don't think he's bad all the time. And I don't think he's done everything poorly, right? I think, somebody asked, I did a Patreon video last week, and I think it was Luis Maldonado who asked, I did a Q&A, right? I do Q&A on Patreon. He asked, what is one thing that Greg Berhalter has done well? And I gave him 3. The first one is his recruiting, right? Getting Yunus Musa, playing a role in helping to recruit Dest, obviously Ricardo Pepi, even guys like Andres Perea and Tyler Boyd, although those were fairly easy recruitments. He's done a good job of recruiting, I'd say. That's one of them. The second was he, in my opinion, has done a pretty good job of fostering a strong team ethic and team spirit within the group, right? And he deserves credit for that. The third thing is that I fundamentally agree with what Greg Berhalter is trying to do. He's trying to make us the protagonists. He's trying to make us a possession-oriented attacking team. For 20 years, 25, 30 years, the U.S. has been a bunker and counter, set-piece merchant team, right? And now we have and that was fine because that suited our player pool, right? We had the players to play that way, and playing that way made us as successful as we could be, considering the player pool that we had. Now we have a player pool that should be the protagonist, that should have the ball, that should be dominating games, that should be attacking. And Greg Berhalter is trying to make us that way. And so fundamentally, I agree with what he's trying to do. I just disagree sometimes with how he's trying to do it and the personnel and formation that he selects many times to do it. I don't always disagree with Greg. Sometimes he gets it right, and we have to give him his due. He got it right against Mexico at home, right, in World Cup qualifying. It was a great lineup. The tactics were spot on, and he got a well-deserved win. But many times he gets it wrong, and we criticize him for it, and he deserves that. But we shouldn't also ignore when he does well. And guys, maybe this is just the overly optimistic, kid in me, but I have a feeling we're going to have a really good window. I just do. I don't know. Call it a intuition, call it a gut feeling. I have a feeling we're going to have a great window and we're going to qualify. And by great window, I mean like 5 points. We should do better. But I don't think all the doom and gloom is warranted. I'll eat crow if I'm wrong, but I think we're going to qualify. Oh, Steven. I don't even want to get started on this one. What are your thoughts on Cindy Kone winning the USSF election? A corrupt organization ran by corrupt people, not to the FIFA level. Yeah, but the leadership of USSF overall is embarrassing. I agree. I need to do like a whole other video on USSF and how it's ran, but there's a lot, and I mean a lot of issues with that. Okay. Where are we? Whoever named their account Greg Berhalter's puppy. That's amazing. What are your thoughts on Jesse Marsh's interview with Sky yesterday? I loved it. Jesse Marsh is a very passionate man, but he's got a great way of being very passionate, but also breaking the game down into the elements that matter and that are important, right? Listening to him talk on that Sky Sports interview, he's clearly very good because they asked him, what did he say to the players at halftime, right? And I think the intention was, maybe Jesse Marsh had some amazing speech, right? Where he, motivated the team American style. Ted Lasso told him to reach for the stars and defy expectations and pointed to the believe sign. But really all he said, at least according to him, was that he told the guys, listen, it would be easy to feel sorry for ourselves now. 2-0 down, had 3 or 4 injuries in the first half. The easy thing would be to go out there feeling sorry for ourselves. But if we go out there and control what we can control, let's just go out and have a good start. Let's just make that our aim. When we get back on that field, we're going to start well. We're going to have the ball. We're going to attack. And he said he made a few tactical adjustments to make them that way. But what that does, and that's very good coaching if that's what he told the players, because what that does is it blocks out all of the noise. It blocks out everything else. And it helps the players focus on the controllables and on a simple objective. Don't worry about getting the result. Don't worry about trying to come back. Just worry about starting well. And that, to me, is good coaching. So I really enjoyed that from Jesse. All right. Pulisic, yeah, guys, the second half has started now. Pulisic is still in the game. Let's hope to God he is going to be okay. Did he fall again? He keeps falling. Did he get pushed? Pulisic is not having the best game today. He's really not. Which, I mean, to be fair, doesn't always play well against championship teams for some reason. Oh my God, that's right. Chris Gary said Greg Berhalter's puppy profile picture is Matt Miazga kicking a dog. Oh, that's hilarious. They said he looks like he has a problem. God, if he has a problem, why is he still on the field? I don't know if he has a problem, but if he does, he shouldn't be on the field. I don't know if Tuchel would leave him on the field if there was a problem. He looks like he's walking okay. I don't think Christian Pulisic, knowing that he's got an international game, an international window coming up, would stay on the field. I think he would ask to be subbed out if he felt like he had a problem. But that's just my take. I mean, he just made a sprint at the goalkeeper, and now he's sprinting back at the right back. So I don't think he would be doing that if he had a problem. Yeah, he looked like he was straining a little bit. It's possible that he's got a bit of a bruise, some bruising, right? Hang on, is there something wrong with my camera? Is it just me, guys? Or can you tell me, is the black t-shirt, the spot on the screen where the black t-shirt is that a little bit blurry? Maybe there's something on my... I have to examine my webcam. I'm gonna have to get a new one if that's like a spot on the lens. But it looks blurry. Doesn't it look blurry to you guys? All right, guys. So far, Pulisic looks fine. It's 2-0 Chelsea. It's not blurry for you. Some people says it is. Looks a little blurry. I'll deal with that later. Right now, we just need Pulisic to get through this game healthy. That is my main concern today. Middlesbrough in possession. Get the likes up, says James Martinez. Yes, get those likes up, guys. Smash that like button. Destroy that like button. Get those likes up. Butter on the lens. I don't know what it is. Let me... Still blurry. I might need a new webcam. Do you think this is the beginning of the end for Zardes for the USMNT? I don't know, Stephen. Greg Berhalter is notoriously hard to predict. He might leave you out and then bring you back in. I think it's very possible we could see Zardes back in very, very soon. You know, Nations League, perhaps, Jassi Zardes. God, I hope Pulisic is fine. I think he looks okay. I think we all hope that it's the end for Zardes, guys. I think we all hope that. Sargent, Pepe, Pifok. I think those are the three. Even Jesus. Look, I'm curious to see Jesus. I said this on the roster video. Good sprint from Pulisic here. Nice little turn to keep possession. He looks all right, guys. He looks okay. I said on the last roster video that I did, I'm not convinced that Jesus Ferreira is a number 9. I think he's so much better as an attacking midfielder or a second forward. But, you know, Nico Estevez, and by the way, on that stream, on that last video I did, I called him Emilio Estevez, which is hilarious, and didn't even realize I did it. Nico Estevez, who was Berhalter's assistant, now is playing him as a center forward for Dallas. He hasn't scored yet, and I don't think he's been very good as a center forward, and I don't think he is a center forward. But Berhalter and Nico Estevez both seem to think that he is. Balogun with the ball and has a shot that is very high. Unless it was blocked. Maybe it's a corner. Maybe it got blocked as he shot. Oh, that was out for a throw anyways. Cross comes into Balogun. Oh, no, it wasn't blocked, but that was a terrible shot. Balogun doing his best Leggett impression. Oh, man. Okay. What? Yeah, let's get Berhalter's puppy off. Vasquez will be in Qatar? Who? Vasquez who? Which Vasquez you talking about, bro? Are you talking about Yeah, which Vasquez? Brandon Vasquez? Nah. No, there's no way he's going to be in Qatar. No way. Why Hoppy is not called anymore? Valentina, Hoppy has not been playing as much for Mallorca as we would like. And as to be fair to him, not been in very good form. But I also think one of the reasons he's not being called is that he's had some beef with Greg in the past. That's probably a good part of it. But to be fair, he isn't really playing. He's getting sub minutes for Mallorca. But he's not. Oh my God! I saw the staff doing a substitute motion with a player on the ground, and I thought it was Pulisic, but it appears to be a Middlesbrough player. Brandon Vasquez? No, come on. Butters. I love Butters. Butters, I would start Horvath. I just think he's the guy in form. Stefan just got back from injury and was pretty error prone before then. So I would probably go Horvath. But I would understand if Greg trusts Stefan and he wants to play him. I would understand it. I can't do a Butters impression. I need to watch a lot more South Park if I'm going to do a Butters impression, Chris. Aoki Janik, is Triple G the worst USMNT coach ever? Well, we don't have a lot of data. So it's hard to say. I thought Bob Bradley was pretty good. Jurgen Klinsmann was good up until a point. I didn't think Dave Sarakin was very good, but he was just an interim, so I suppose we don't count him. Bruce Arena was fine. You know, he was good for that generation. But his second spell, he was terrible. You know, here's what we got to do. Let's qualify for the World Cup, and let's judge Berhalter after the World Cup, okay? Because if he takes us to a quarterfinal run, which, by the way, I think is a realistic goal for us to hit with this player pool, okay? For us, even if we get a tough group, we should be able to get out of our group, okay? Let's start right there. We've gotten out of our group 3 times before already, right? In 2002, in 2010, and in 2014, with significantly worse players than we have right now. Okay? So we absolutely should expect, if we go to the World Cup, to get out of our group. With this generation, that should be the minimum expectation. Go to the World Cup and get out of your group. After that, okay, you have one game, 90 minutes to get to a quarterfinal. It doesn't matter who you play. It's Brazil, it's France, it's Germany, it's England, it's Senegal, it's Japan, it's Colombia. It doesn't matter, guys. It's 90 minutes. Many, many times in the World Cup, smaller teams have knocked out bigger teams. Many times in soccer, this has happened. We can't act like it's impossible for us to beat Brazil, right? It's not impossible. They might win, 9 times out of 10, but it's one game. It's 90 minutes, and it starts at 0-0. And if we go to a game like that with the right mentality, the right lineup, the right tactics, and get a little bit of luck, we can absolutely knock out a team. It's just 90 minutes. 90 minutes, now you're in a quarterfinal, right? That's realistic. I think that should be a realistic goal for us. Now, if we get knocked out in the second round by Brazil, nobody's going to say, oh, what a terrible, terrible result. Unless it's 5-0, then yeah, we'll be pretty pissed. But if we lose closely to Brazil, okay, that's understandable. But I think it's a realistic goal for us to reach for a quarterfinal with this group of players. And I absolutely believe we can. And if Greg gets them there, then, kudos to him. He will match Bruce Arena's record. Pulisic on the left, takes it down, playing it a little bit safe here. I hope he's okay. I think he looks fine. Ooh, completely missed that header. Mount collects it on the right. Lots of time and space in around that box for Mason Mount. Tries to have a shot, and it's blocked and goes out for a corner. Oof. Okay. Wow, Hans, this is a great question. What's each past 5 USMNT coaches' Best and worst attributes. Arena, Bob Bradley, Jurgen Klinsmann, Arena again, and Triple G. So there are some similarities, right, with some of these guys. Jurgen Klinsmann and Bruce Arena were similar in some ways in that they were both good man managers, right? Bruce Arena, bless his heart, not a tactical genius, right? His philosophy, and he himself has admitted to this and said this before, he believes the best way to win is to put your best players in their best positions, make them feel confident and comfortable, and then trust them. And to be fair to Bruce, that has served him well many times with the LA Galaxy, with New England, in his first spell in charge of the US. So that's Bruce's strong point as a coach. He believes in you, he puts you in a position to succeed, and he does well. His weakness, Bruce Arena's weakness, is there's two weaknesses that he has. One, he is absolutely terrible tactically. No idea what he's doing tactically. Okay, this guy was a lacrosse coach before he got into soccer. Okay. The other problem with Bruce is that sometimes he can be very arrogant, right? And that can lead to his downfall. This happened in Cuba. This happened just recently with the New England Revolution going to Mexico. Before the game, he said, "We don't need to score goals, they do." Well, they did, Bruce. So that was Bruce Arena. Bob Bradley's best attributes was that he was very good at pushing his players. He demanded excellence, very stern, very strict coach, and generally speaking, put his players in positions to succeed. He got his tactics mostly right, in my opinion, and he tailored his tactics to the players that he had. And to be fair to Bob, he got us out of our group in 2010, where we lost to Ghana. But most importantly, Bob Bradley got us to a Confederations Cup final, beating Spain along the way, right, in a semifinal of the Confederations Cup. Bob Bradley's weaknesses, in my opinion, is that he's way too stubborn and inflexible in the sense that it's my way or the highway, right? That was one of his weaknesses. Jurgen Klinsmann, I've talked about. His strengths was, like Bruce, a great man manager. Very good. I don't know if he was a great man manager, but a very inspirational guy. Very American, quote unquote, in the way that he, believed that players need to be pushing themselves, believed in inspiration, believed in excellence, believed in a lot of very American ideas. And that was, a good thing about Jurgen Klinsmann. But he also wanted the players pushing themselves. He didn't tolerate mediocrity. He didn't want players getting too comfortable in the situation that they were in and not pushing themselves. And he always wanted them to push himself. The problem with Klinsmann, like Arena, terrible tactician, not a good tactician at all. Also pretty inconsistent with his messaging sometimes, right? And that really hurt him, especially towards the end. I think that Jurgen was also very much a my way or the highway guy. It's like, you're going to follow my lead and you're going to do what I say, or you're not going to be involved. So not a very democratic coach, right? In that sense, similar to Bob Bradley, and just an awful tactician, and wasn't good at preparing the players. Oftentimes he would start a bizarre formation, playing players out of position, and they hadn't even worked on it in training, and just sort of expect them to figure it out on the field. And that was a problem for Jurgen, right? Bruce Arena, in his second stint, was arrogant. He was like, well, we've got better players than they do, so we should just go out and win. And look what happened. Frank Kassler said, Pulisic is clearly hurt. Why is he still out there? I don't know. I don't know if he's clearly hurt. What makes you think he's clearly hurt? I thought he's looked okay. But maybe I'm missing something because I'm looking at the screen, at the computer screen, and not the TV screen. I think it's Azpilicueta that looks hurt to me right now. Greg Berhalter, we've talked about many, many times. I don't know, man. Pulisic looks fine to me. He hasn't looked good, but he's looked fine in terms of injury. Sorry, what was I saying? Yeah, Greg Berhalter is a good recruiter, And, from what we've heard, a nice guy to work with from the player's perspective. Good at fostering a strong mentality. Well, not strong mentality, but strong environment. A strong attitude. Although, I guess a team ethic is what I would call it, right? I would call a good team ethic. They like each other. They want to play for each other. What I don't like about Greg Berhalter is that he not only plays favorites, but also prioritizes system and familiarity and his ideas, his tactical ideas, even when they're not working. And he's very slow to move away from or change them. So, every coach we had, like every coach in the world, has strengths and weaknesses. But the jury will be out on Greg Berhalter until we go to a World Cup and see how we do there. Okay? But remember, Greg Berhalter has to be held to the highest standard of all the USMNT coaches we've ever had, because he is the guy who has the best player pool we've ever had. We have never had a Christian Pulisic. Never. Not in the history of our national team have we ever had a Christian Pulisic. We've never had a Gio Reyna. Okay? Heck, we've never had a Weston McKennie. Like, just those three guys alone. Our player pool has never looked this good, right? We've never had a guy like Chris Richards although you could say maybe Gucci Onyewu is somebody that, has played at that very high level. But if you look at the player pool, we've never had a Serginho Dest. We've never had a right back at Serginho Dest's level. Okay? So Greg Berhalter has the best player pool of any coach before him ever, and so he should be held to a higher standard. And this is why he gets so much criticism, even though he has, quote unquote, the best winning record of all USMNT coaches. It's marginally the best. And when you take away the friendlies, which is a lot of that, it's actually very average. It's below both Bob Bradley and I think Bruce Arena in his first stint. No, Jurgen Klinsmann. And so, yeah, when you actually take away the friendlies, it's a very different story. It's a lot lower. But it should be significantly higher because of the player pool that he has. So that's Greg Berhalter. 64th minute. It is still 2-0 for Chelsea. Pulisic is still on the field and looks fine in terms of not being injured. This is a good way to describe it. Finesse kid Carlos. Thank you. You're describing it far better than I am. I wouldn't say Greg pushes a good mentality. I think forming a brotherhood is a better way to describe it. I don't like how Greg sometimes is okay with a draw or a loss. Hate it. Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to say, Carlos. It's not that he has a good mentality, but he's a good team spirit and a good brotherhood, a good ethic. They love each other. They play well to each other. There's a good camaraderie within the team. But you're 100% right that he justifies losses and draws as good performances and defends them and then makes excuses and talks about how hard CONCACAF is. That I 100% agree with you on. 100%. You said it way better than I ever could. I'm just going to keep Finesse Kid Carlos's comment up for a while because that's very well articulated. Give me some water. NYC and Union fighting. Notorious Nemo, can you tell me, are any of Paxton Aronson, Quinn Sullivan, or Jack McGlynn on for the Union yet? Tell me when one of them is. If you can tell me when one of them comes on, I want to put that game on. And just because I like those three. '66th minute. Been kind of a quiet second half. Not a lot of opportunities for either side. Middlesbrough in possession right now in their defensive third. Coming into the midfield third, passing it around under a lot of Chelsea pressure. Not really able to penetrate. Really haven't created much apart from that one Balogun shot. Matt Murata says, Flack started, but the others haven't made it on yet. What's the scoreline for Philly NYC? Oh, they're winning 2-0, huh? All right. Philly beating the NYC 2-0 with Bedoya and Daniel Gadzag scoring. All right, Philly. I mean, to be fair, New York had a very intense midweek game. So do you think a 3-4-2-1 would work with Robinson and Dest as wingbacks? You know, Greg played a 3-4-2-1 against Honduras away. I don't love it. It's very conservative and very defensive. It might work, but I think I would rather go with a 3-5-2 if we're going to do that, or a 4-2-3-1. I don't love a 3-4-2-1. It's very, very conservative because you end up playing two defensive midfielders with three defenders. And I really don't love that. That's five defensive players. It's a very cautious, safe, formation that I do not like. Ooh, I got 4 texts. All right, 68th minute, guys. Yeah, man, this is something else. It is still ridiculous that NYCFC is playing at Yankee Stadium. I am from St. Louis, and there's no chance the MLS would allow us to play at Busch Stadium. Yes, but when you have Manchester City's oil money and you're Don Garber, all you see is dollar signs coming out of your eyes. And so NYCFC can pretty much do whatever they want. It is, but I 100% agree with you. It is a complete joke that they're still playing in a baseball stadium after 8 years of being in the city, in MLS. And I know all the excuses. I know all the reasons. It's hard to put a stadium in New York. I get that, but then you shouldn't have given them a team. Pulisic is off. Thank you. All right. Pulisic gets a rest. Hopefully there was no injury there, nothing niggling. He can now rest. Yeah, he's fine. He's sitting down. He's not going for treatment or anything. All good, guys. Pulisic is off. Whew. He's ready for Mexico. Middlesbrough's got the ball. Only guy left is Balogun. Espictitus Cana. Ooh. Chelsea with Middlesbrough with almost a goal there. Yeah, it wasn't the best game from Pulisic, Dan. It was not a good game from him, but right now, that doesn't matter to me as much as him just being healthy. Ooh, almost picked out the Middlesbrough player. Good keeping. All right, so Pulisic is off. Was not his best game, but the important thing is he's fit and healthy and not too tired because he only played 68 minutes. So he didn't play a full 90 before Thursday. It's a good question, Epictetus Casanova. I don't think any of our strikers right now are where Josie was in his prime, but it's hard to know. Josh Sargent is in a similar position right now to where Josie was at Sunderland, except that Josie wasn't playing. The difference is when Josie wasn't playing at Sunderland, we didn't have a lot of other center forward options, so he was still the guy for the U.S. Josh Sargent is not the guy for the U.S. right now because he's not scoring goals. Should he be playing for the U.S.? Yes, I think so. I think it's time to bring him back, but I'm not Greg. So unfortunately, that did not happen this window. I think that hopefully, not hopefully, Norwich are going to get relegated. And dropping down, they're going to be a good team in the championship. And hopefully, Sargent will get more opportunities, will score more goals. And I think that will be very good for his confidence. And hopefully, he'll come back. Hopefully, he will come into Qatar feeling confident and scoring goals. And that's exactly what you want, right? All right, 2-0, 71st minute. Joshua DeChico, yes, I talked about DLT possibly going to Spain. And yeah, he's beautiful how he glides on the ball. for sure. Technical. I love how he just glides away from players. He almost doesn't explode away from players. He glides away from them. And he's so under control of his body and the ball when he does that. It's beautiful to see. And it's how he creates space and opens up the field. So much, I mean, technical ability is great, but so much of the game is not only seeing space, but understanding space, how to create it and how to use it. And that's one thing that he does really, really well. Is there a Borough fan crying in the stadium? Yes, Chris, I agree with you of this. Sargent should stay at Norwich when they go down. Should we qualify, he will be in good form for Qatar. And I've read that Norwich will sell Pukki. Oh, that'll be interesting if he gets to start as a center forward in the championship. Remember, a lot of his goals, even when he played for Bremen, came against second division side in the DFB Pokal. So he loves scoring against second division sides. And then when he played his first game when they got relegated, his first game, he scored 2 goals before he got to move to Norwich. His first 2 goals for Norwich were against championship side. I think if you drop Sargent down a level where he'll get more opportunities, he'll start scoring goals, and it will help his confidence, and then we'll start to see the old Sargent. You know, you can make the argument that maybe he should have stayed at Bremen and played in the second division just for his confidence's sake. But I'm never going to knock a player for pushing themselves and for trying to play at the highest possible level, right? Hakim Ziyech with the corner for Chelsea, 73rd minute. Quinn Sullivan is on for Philadelphia Union. You love to see it. You love to see it. So Luca says, thoughts of Sargent and Hoppe should have stayed in Bundesliga too. So a little bit of a different situation. Sargent's contract was not over. So he had to be sold. Balogun is pulled off, and now there are no Americans on the field in the 74th minute. But what was I saying? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, Sargent. Hoppe's big mistake was signing a contract. He was 2 months out from being a free agent, and he could have picked his destination. But he signed a contract with Schalke. And so that limited where he could go because not every team was willing to pay for him. And then he made a bad choice going to Real Mallorca. But the absolute stupidity of being 2 months away from being a free agent and signing a contract, I just don't understand that. And I'm not knocking Hoppe. He's a young kid, right? Maybe he got bad advice from his agent. Maybe there was other factors that we don't know about. That's possible. But to me, it seems silly to do that when you're going to be a free agent and had goals in the Bundesliga to like sell himself with, you know? So I was not a fan of that. But he shouldn't have done that because that limited his options. If he was a free agent, he could have gone to maybe a better spot, right? But unfortunately, maybe only Mallorca was willing to pay that money for him. And maybe that's because of their American ownership. And that's a whole different topic. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. I agree that he could have gone to Eredivisie. It would have been very good for him. Eredivisie is a great developmental league. Look at Luca de la Torre. Left Fulham, spent 2 years in Heracles, was able to show what he can do, went to a league where they prioritize development, where they value players who can play on the ball, right? Where they value technical players with vision and a good understanding of space. And he's thriving, right? And now he can hopefully make that jump up to a top 5 league. I think Spain is the way to go. Either Spain or a top team in Holland. You know, I think he could do very well at PSV Eindhoven or Feyenoord, maybe Ajax, although I don't know if he would be an automatic starter for Ajax. Probably not. But yeah, that's what I want to see from De La Torre. But very likely La Liga should be his destination, would be my recommendation. Go play with Musa at Valencia. Wow, Cincy is beating Inter Miami. Oh, Philip Neville. Oh, Phil Neville ain't getting it done, huh? It's crazy how Philip Neville got that job just because he's a friend of Beckham. Wow, if Cincinnati is beating Inter Miami, geez. Another goal for Vasquez. Is that Brandon Vasquez? I agree with you about this, Valentina. I agree with you. I would call them too. I would have called Hoppy over Areola for sure. I would have called Sargent over Areola. I would have called Georgi Mihailovic over Roldan. LOL, Neville out. I wonder if Beckham's going to fire him. It's hard to fire a buddy that you've played with for years and that you've been friends with since you were in high school together. But ultimately, this has not been a successful franchise for David Beckham. And the David Beckham brand is taking a hit because, you know, your brand is about success and, you know, turning everything you touch into gold. That's the David Beckham brand, right? But his Inter Miami situation has been a complete fiasco so far in every possible way. So part of it is the players they brought in. They brought a guy who wanted to come to MLS, right? Gonzalo Higuain wanted to come to MLS and smoke cigarettes on the pitch. And he wasn't coming here to play and to compete and to be a contributor. And that's very, very clear on the pitch. He was called out last week by the Chicago Fire striker, I believe. Said he's got a shitty attitude, and that's probably affecting the whole team, right? You spend DP money on a guy and he's got a shitty attitude, that transmits itself throughout the team. If Phil Neville needs to do is be strong and bench him, needs to be benched. You know, I don't know if Phil Neville has the ability to do that. But also the way they've constructed their roster has been terrible. Way too many old, aging, big-name players who aren't here to really compete. They're here for a paycheck, to live in Miami, to be on the beach. Terrible way to construct a roster. And honestly, Beckham should be doing a lot better with this. '79th minute, Chelsea 2, Middlesbrough 0. Game has been pretty quiet. Kind of a scrappy game. Not a lot of chances in the second half. Not a very exciting tie, if I'm being honest. Roman Burki is going to St. Louis City. Yes, that'll be very interesting to see. I'm not sure why he's going to St. Louis City, but it'll be interesting to see how he performs. Not sure about that one, to be honest. I'm a little skeptical of a guy like him coming to MLS when he's still very much in his prime. Wait, how old is he? Let's look this up. Let me do some research before I spout nonsense. Roman Burki is 31. Yeah, for a goalkeeper, that's very much in his prime. Look, if he comes to MLS with the right attitude, mentality, that he wants to win trophies and help St. Louis be as successful as possible and transmits that mentality to others in the dressing room, great. But we don't know. Is he coming here to retire? Is he coming here thinking MLS is going to be easy? People who come there with that mentality do not find success. He's also been pretty error-prone for Dortmund, right? So we'll see how this one plays out. But certainly in terms of a name, it's an interesting name. But we'll see how that goes. Looks like Charlotte will be another disaster franchise who mishandled the roster construction. Yeah, Steven, really poorly done. It's so sad to see these new franchises coming in like Cincinnati and Charlotte and do so poorly, right? And just build their roster terribly, thinking they can get away with mediocre players who are past it, you know, not doing a good job in terms of, oh, Timo, should have scored there. Should have scored there, Timo. It's terrible. And then you get teams like Atlanta United and LAFC who clicked in the first year. They built their rosters well. They had good coaching staff, good scouting. They did a good job with their fan base. Cincinnati and Charlotte, huge fan bases, passionate soccer fan bases that showed up in their opening game. And then you put absolute trash on the field and you expect those people to come back. They're not going to come back. You're going to lose 70% of those guys. and all you're going to have left is the diehards. It's terrible. It's terrible, honestly, the way that both Charlotte and Cincinnati have handled, their roster builds. But I like that the coach called them out and said that they're terrible, right? We are screwed. Got a DP and sold him before they even touched the field. What message does that send to your locker room, to your fan base, to your staff? Terrible. Terrible. All right, let's see. Luca says, I don't watch the MLS. Do they have like a salary cap? Yes, Luca, they don't only have a salary cap. They have very bizarre roster, very bizarre rules about roster construction and how you can spend your salary cap. They don't just have a salary cap and say you can't outspend this, but they also say what you can spend on who and on what kind of players you can buy and how much you can spend on DPs. And they have all these ridiculous roster rules that are Byzantine. Might have been necessary at one point in the league, but we are way, way past that point with MLS. And they need to take the leashes off, and they need to just let teams spend. They need to raise the salary cap for one, but they also need to let teams spend freely and not try to shoehorn 70% of the salary cap into 3 players. It is absolutely ridiculous. Or 70% of the salary money that teams spend into 3 players. It's a terrible, terrible way to build a roster. But welcome to MLS. Chelsea probing at the edge of Borough's box. Not really finding any love. It's very slow play. Werner. They're probing, keeping possession, not really penetrating that much, though. Thiago Silva. This game has really petered out, huh? Roldan missed easy passes on goal against Leon. Very upsetting. Do you mean he missed chances or missed easy passes? Antonio Banderas says, hope Sacramento Republic gets a new owner / investor. Tired of dealing with the Smurfs as a Galaxy fan. Oh, man. San Jose, what a disappointing franchise, huh? They're in a great area. Great area in the only team in Northern California over by the Bay Area. They could, have a really good team. But underachievers in so many ways. Kevin Polid says, HITC Stevens had a whole video on what is holding the MLS back from being a top league. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime too. Let's get through the CCL first. And I think Tack and I are going to talk, shameless plug, on the podcast this week about what happened with in CCL this last week. And we're going to give our thoughts on it. Graf Broussier says, I'm a San Jose fan and I hate our front office so much. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. If we qualify before the CRC game, what would your lineup be versus Costa Rica? Guys, there's so many different permutations and possibilities of things that could happen before then that it's very hard for me to say now, what our lineup should be. It really depends on, who's got a lot of minutes under their legs, who's been performing well, who needs a rest, who's available, who's not, who's on a yellow. There's a lot of different reasons why I would play who I would play. It's very hard for me to say right now before we've played the first 2 games, if that makes sense. How high do you rate Slonina as future USMNT goalkeeper? Very high, Stephen, but he's very young. And he's only has about 15 caps under his belt, or 15 professional games under his belt, rather. So it's a wait and see game. Lots of promising players poop out, right? They sort of fade and they never reach their full potential. So we won't know. The main thing for Slonina now is to keep his head down, to stay focused on becoming a good goalkeeper for Chicago, and not to get tempted by European money just yet. Because there's no European team that is going to play a 17-year-old goalkeeper right now. I just don't buy that. And right now, the best thing for him to do is play. Where I think he needs to improve is, number one, he needs to be better coming for crosses, right? Coming for aerial balls in the 6-yard box is something he can be better at. Now he's young, so he has plenty of time to learn that, and a lot of that comes with experience. Where he also needs to be better is with his feet, right? If he's wants to be an elite goalkeeper, he's going to have to be really good with his feet. The problem is that Chicago does not play out of the back. They almost always go long with it, and I don't love that for him. But overall, the fact that he's playing regularly in a competitive league is good for his development right now. I'm just a little concerned about his feet and whether or not he's going to get enough reps at this age to play, to be excellent with his feet down the line. Juan Salazar, yes, very much the exception. Milan played Donnarumma when he was 16 or 17 years old, but yeah, that's an exception. So that is the exception, not a rule. Donnarumma is also Italian, right? There's no way that Milan would play Gabriel Slonina. I don't think they would even have him in the first team. So a lot of people asking about Slonina versus Ochoa. It's a good question. Ochoa is a lot older than Slonina, right? He's about 4 years older than Gabi. So that's and Slonina didn't start until just last year. My concern with David Ochoa is his attitude, right? He's got a lot of confidence, but he's also a bit of a clown, right? Very arrogant, loves, trolling on the field. Sometimes it feels like his focus isn't on being as good a goalkeeper as he can be and is more focused on, antics. And for me, that speaks to the wrong mentality. Don't get me wrong. I like confidence. I like brashness. I like arrogance. But to me, Ochoa crosses that line too much where you're like, this guy doesn't even take shit seriously. He's just, having fun and not really focused. And he's made a lot of mistakes in the last year for RSL. And I mean a lot. So he's going to have to clean that up out of his game. He's still an amazing goalkeeper, and he could be very, very good. But the guy seems to have attitude issues, right? And he's young. Maybe he can clean that out of his game. Right now, I don't see it. For me, Slonina seems to have a lot more of a focus on getting better mentality, and that's good to see. But let's see how that goes, right? There's lots of time for both of them, especially for Slonina, who's still just 17. I mean, if you think about it, the kid is going to be, 21? 21 at the World Cup in 2026. So still very, very young. Slonina versus Odunze. I haven't seen a ton of Odunze, Stoffer. Last time I saw him was at the Under-17 World Cup in, I don't know where it was. Under-17 World Cup in 2019. So I can't really speak to Odunze right now. I think Odunze should try to go somewhere where he's going to play because he's stuck in Leicester City's reserves, and I'm just not sure he's ever going to play for Leicester City. We'll see. We'll see what happens with him. But I can't really speak to his quality because I haven't watched him play in 3 years. All right, 90th minute. Chelsea-Borough, still 2-0. Bit of a dud second half. Nothing too exciting happening. Both Americans off. But hey, we still get to hang, and that's dope. Let me know what MLS games you guys are watching today. What MLS games are you looking forward to seeing? I'm going to watch LAFC, obviously. If I can. Probably going to check out FC Dallas when they play as well. Like to see them play always. I would have watched Philly, but right now I am watching Chelsea-Borough. So no Philly for me. 90 minutes in, and there are 3 minutes of extra time. All right, last few questions before we end. Get them in, guys. LA Galaxy versus Orlando in 30 minutes. All right. I don't really have any vested interest in either of those teams, but that's dope. Fire versus SKC. All right, I can see that. Let us know how Slonina does. No Paxton, unfortunately. It's bizarre that they haven't given Paxton Aronson more time because I thought in the opening game he played quite well when he came on against Minnesota. So I'm surprised he hasn't gotten more time. Not sure why that is. This is a great one. Hey, Pete, how's this for a prediction? USMNT will qualify in the most anticlimactic and stressful way possible. Ties in all 3 games. Oh my God. That would not be good. It would not be good at all. Hell no. Luca, think we should stop Americanizing soccer here, like playoffs, salary cap, and no relegation. So again, the question is why? Why do you think that? For me, I like relegation, promotion relegation, because I think it would bring some more stakes to a game that sometimes lacks stakes, right? I think having more stakes and more pressure will push everybody to be better. All right. Now, in terms of the playoffs, I don't think the playoffs is going to have a massive impact on the quality of the game. I think it can make it more exciting at times, but they should be smaller. They shouldn't be half the league gets to play in the playoffs because it loses something in the season, right? Now, the answer to, well, if only 4 teams or 5 teams from each conference, or let's say 6, the top 6 out of 15 teams make the playoffs, then teams get out very quickly and there's nothing to play for. That's where you have promotion and relegation, right? So if you have relegation, you have to avoid relegation. That makes it more exciting. But I don't mind playoffs. I just think that the playoffs are too big. Salary cap, I don't hate salary cap, honestly. I think the salary cap is too low, and I hate the roster rules. But if you want to set the salary cap at 30 million, we could have a very good league. Set the salary cap at 25 to 30 million, raise the salary floor, right? Put a salary floor of at least 10 to 12 million, and then let teams compete. Have promotion relegation, right? Have a smaller playoff, right? Maybe 6 teams per conference that make the playoff. That I think would make MLS a lot better. There would be more stakes, which would make it more interesting for fans. There would be more pressure. Lower level division teams would now have an opportunity to get promoted to MLS, so they could invest in good players. Game is over, 2-0, Chelsea. But I don't mind the playoffs. I'm fine with playoffs, and I'm fine with a salary cap. I just think it's too low, and I think the rules surrounding spending are too restrictive. So, let's continue. No, Karen, it would not. All right, guys, my throat's about to go. So thanks for coming to hang. This was fun. I'm going to try to do more live, whether it's a live watch along or a live hangout at least once a week. Obviously, next Thursday then is going to be the next one for Mexico, USA Mexico. I'll be there for the preview on Tax Channel. I'll be there at halftime, and I will be there. Obviously, I'll do my own, post-game hangout breakdown after the game. So I will see you all there. Thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. This was dope. Have a great rest of your weekend, watching soccer, going out, having fun, having a drink. Juan Salazar says, I recommend drinking tea while streaming. Yes, Juan, that's a great idea. I do actually do that sometime. I get like throat coat tea. So dope. Awesome to talk to you guys again. I'll talk to you soon.